Hey guys, how's it going? Happy holidays, or if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a nice Christmas. Sorry, I'm watching my cat. Make sure she doesn't chew on the light cord. Someone recently said something to me that kind of it it registered in a way that I didn't think it would, and it was also kind of a little concerning, but not in a bad way. I told them I do knife reviews because I was selling on my Whatnot stream, and I told them that I review all kinds of knives and whatnot, and they were like, "Oh, that's fantastic." I don't really follow a lot of knife YouTubers anymore because a lot of them got bigger, and now they just review like really premium stuff. And I was like, "Oh, huh, okay." And to be honest with you, I get that, I guess. When you get to a certain point and you're financially and you're able to afford like the more premium things, it makes it more of a draw to explore that, and I totally get that. I think for me, I'm not knocking that either. I think for me, when I started doing this, I didn't have a lot of money. And also, I'm not a knife snob. I'm not knocking anybody who is a knife snob. You're more than welcome to be a knife snob. But I think that people who are going to offer, reviews on products that come out should always take into consideration people who might be less fortunate or are just looking for obviously a solid budget oriented knife. Now, budget obviously for everybody is different. It's a subjective word, right? But for me, for a budget oriented knife is $20 to $50 generally, because to be honest, spending $50 on a knife is a lot of money. It's a knife. Most people are like, well, it's a knife, who cares, right? So basically, this whole monologue I'm doing, what I'm trying to explain is I'm gonna do my absolute best, period, to not become somebody who slowly drifts away from reviewing everything across the spectrum. Obviously, if I get to a point where I can financially, purchase 4, 5, 6, 7,000, 2,000, $5,000 knives, and show them to you guys and review, that would be amazing. I'd be ecstatic. But that's not going to change the fact that I still appreciate $5 knives, $10 knives. It's always fascinating to me to see what manufacturers are capable of doing with a small amount of money and premium materials. Because, usually they don't really go hand in hand. But then you have companies like MTech who are offering knives on a market that are insane price value for the materials that they offer. Like, you're getting D2 and titanium for was it $120? Like, that's crazy, absolutely crazy. They have some other wild. You can get this little. They have a little tiny pocket M390. So it's a small frame lock folder, and it's M390 titanium frame lock. It's a necklace knife, but it's also, like I said, a folder, and I think retail on it's like 110, 120, something like that. But usually you could probably find it for 105. Like, getting M390 for under $150 is bananas, right? So stuff like that. But anyway, you're probably wondering why you're 4 minutes into a video staring at an MTech. So MTech is a brand that I started out selling when I first started selling, because, well, you got to start somewhere, right? At first it was Damascus knives that I could get, that I was able to contact people who made really high-end Damascus knives, and I could get bulk wholesale for cheap. And then I started with MTech, and MTech is kind of what helped me grow on Whatnot and sell on Whatnot. I didn't make a ton of money, but, MTech is a good brand. I mean, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not like Medford or, Best Tech or Kaiser or whatever, insert Kershaw for that matter. It's not that. But MTech, they do make good things. So the whole point of this video is obviously me to rant kind of about the fact that I always want to make sure that I pander to people who are less fortunate budget-wise but are still looking for a good knife. and I will make sure I review knives all across budget ranges, whether it be $5 all the way up to $5,000 if I'm capable. And two, yeah, we're gonna review MTech because MTech kind of helped me get my start. I'm not a knife snob. I appreciate all knives. To be honest with you, this MTech actually really impressed me. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this one retails for like 18 bucks. But anyway, we'll get into it. There's no, I can give you the model number. Obviously, there's no name for it. It's just a model number. But here's the model if you're ever interested in looking it up. And yeah, we'll get into it. So these come in 3 different colorways. These come in black, blue, and a brass. The brass are super popular. I'm already sold out of them. Usually on my Whatnot show, I just dollar and go these. But they are, I think, $18 to $20 retail. I will say MTech really has stepped it up. I mean, the action is crisp. These are spring assist. The liners are really nicely milled and done. I mean, they don't look like cheap, thin liners. The action is what does it the most for me. Usually you can tell a lot about a knife from its action. And yeah, it's a spring assist, but I mean, it's still impressive. I'm pretty sure this is 3CR13 steel. Obviously, this is stainless. I'm pretty sure 3CR falls within like stainless steel, materials. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm pretty positive, but it's a nice little knife, man. It's got weight to it. Like it feels quality. And for what? I mean, you could probably find this for like 15 bucks online. For 15 bucks, like, this is a pretty banger knife. I personally think I like the brass more, but this is probably second for me. But it's got like these nice, I don't even know if these are, they're probably like laser etched scales, but you can feel it. They're engraved into the scale. I mean, they're nice. It's a nice knife. So I wanted to make the video basically pointing this out. So if anybody's ever looking for a budget knife and you don't have a ton of money to spend and you're not like wildly picky about, you know, if the knife is going to break on you or whatever it may be, you know, MTech is not a bad brand. They're not, like I said, you're not buying like Best Tech or Medford or Kaiser or, Spyderco, you know, like it, understand what you're buying, right? It's an MTech. But at the end of the day, like MTech makes pretty solid knives for the most part. I would say their track record, at least in my opinion, is a 50-50. 50% of the time, I'm really happy with the knives I decided to check out from them. And then 50% of the time, I'm like, they kind of missed the mark on this. Usually what happens is when they miss the mark, it's the deployment that kind of struggles on them. The deployment just doesn't feel good. It's just kind of weak, and usually you have to break it in a bit, but even then it just kind of feels meh. Trying to think what else usually misses the mark. I would say also some their choice in handle material. Obviously they're going for knives that are consumer friendly, right? Budget friendly. But some of the handle materials just feel like absolute shit, if I'm quite honest. I mean, I've even said that about some knives from other brands that they don't feel good to hold. I don't know, they just feel very lacking. But this is genuinely a very nice knife for the money. I mean, I don't know how long it would last for someone who's like using it every single day. If you're just like opening Amazon packages, you know, cutting zip ties, cutting tape, what else? You know, like the normal things people use for knives, like normal people uses. I don't really see this knife having an issue. If you're trying to do something a little more outlandish, like hacking through wood or cutting through like really thick rope, It could probably do it. It might struggle a bit, but it could probably do it. Obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, so 3CR13 steel is a very, very budget-oriented steel. It does take a very sharp edge, but it will dull quickly. But the positive side is it's easy to sharpen. So, and it's a budget steel. I think I prefer 3CR13 over 420C stainless. Just because, and also with knife steels in that regard, it strongly depends on the heat treat. MTech has a pretty okay track record with heat treat, I would say, in my opinion. Okay, I'm saying okay. Well, we'll do 10 being astronomically amazing, 1 being horrific. I would say a 5. It could be better. I don't really test the heat treats, and I'm not heavily brutal on my knives. I use them for pretty basic tasks: cutting down boxes, opening packages, cutting tape. That stuff. But I prefer 3CR over 420 because, I don't know, 420 just, if I remember correctly, 420C is I think it's pretty much like the same budget range as 3CR13, but it's a bit of a softer steel. So like heat treat really matters with it. If it's not heat treated well, it's kind of terrible. I mean, I know, again, you could argue that with like any blade steel, but I personally don't like 420C. I stay away from it. It's kind of like J2 as well. I think J2 steel is, I think it's China or Japan's version of, supposed to be their version of stainless, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to go off memory, by the way. This stuff is stuff I learned like almost a year ago, so I'm not wildly. It's something that I'm not like super sharp on right now, but it's okay. I think J2 is like 440 basically. I think it's China or Japan's like version of 440. It's pretty good, but you don't often find knives with J2 steel. Anyway, I've kind of ranted and rambled and gone off the rails a bit here, but long story short, MTech, not a bad brand. If you're just looking for a knife that does knife things and basic knife things, there's nothing wrong with it. I think this is cool. I don't really care much for this blue version. I would personally EDC the brass one, but I'm sold out of the brass. But I would hypothetically, actually, I mean, I would technically EDC this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I really like the Wharncliffe cleaver blade style. It's got an easy close, very snappy open. It's a small knife, but it feels very comfortable to hold. It's got no jimping, but I mean, I'm not really expecting much to begin with, so yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm sure people probably never expected me to review an MTech, but here we are. Oh, I do have another one. I want to show you guys. Just give me one quick moment. Okay. I made sure I was fast enough so I didn't have to edit the video. Oh. Okay, so this is another MTech knife. I was going to make a separate video for this, but we're already on the topic of MTech, right? So I figure why not. I don't know if this one is open. No, these are all like taped shut. So I'll just pry the tape open. This is another example of an MTech knife I am rather impressed with, but I don't think people would normally give it the light of day. I don't know. To each their own, right? I usually have a knife with me, but I usually have a knife on hand, and I don't want to use that knife to cut this because that knife is stock inventory. So, okay. I got this box open enough for me to show you guys. Okay. Let's just move this briefly over here. Put this here. So this is another MTech. Another MTech that I am very genuinely surprised at. This one has sculpted G10 scales. I think this is like same retail as the other one. Sculpted G10 scales. Really nice. Deep carry. Not reversible, but again, I mean, what are you expecting, right? And the deployment, super snappy. I mean, that's really nice. I will say the liners are a little thinner than I'd like, personally. But this knife is very easy to close and open. And in general, like, very comfortable to use. It does have some nice jimping here, so you can choke up a bit. Again, 3CR13 steel or stainless, whichever. And yeah, let me move this box out of the way. I think that for, 15 to 20 bucks, like, that's pretty decent. I mean, I guess if we're gonna argue about it, you could go with Summit Gear's knives and their stainless steel G10 liner lock. Summit Gear does make some pretty good knives, but we're talking about MTech right now. This is another knife that I would 100% EDC. It's really nice. It feels great. It's easy to open, easy to close. You can fidget with it if you wanted to. You just sit here and open and close it over and over again. It's very snappy. Yeah, it doesn't have like a specific name, obviously, and I tore the label opening the box, so I can give you guys a product number though. So here you go. Here's the product number if you guys want to check it out. There you go. Yeah. So I really wanted to review some MTech stuff. I just thought it would be really cool too, because obviously, I don't know, maybe this video will flop and do terribly. Who knows? Maybe no one will like this and people will be like, MTech sucks ass and blah, 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 blah. But honestly, I like MTech a lot. They helped me get my start, humble beginnings, and I'm not going to forget that. At all. So yeah, I would highly, if you guys are in the market for knives, I would highly recommend these two from MTech. If you're looking for an MTech knife specifically, I could torture test these too. They're really, honestly, they're really nice. I don't really want to torture test them. That sounds really stupid because they're like, $15 knives, but they're just nice. I don't know. I come from a family who's like, we weren't like crazy rich. I mean, we did okay, but like I have a hard time buying something and then destroying it for the sake of like testing things, because like, for me, like, money's not always something I easily come by. So I've always struggled with money, and obviously having this business now, money's a little easier to come by, but still I have a really hard time damaging items for test purposes. Not to say they don't deserve it, but yeah. So anyway, that's that. Yeah, and also, I won't forget you guys. I won't forget the little guys, like people who are just looking for a nice, $20 to $50, $60 knife, and that's that. I will make sure that I always do my absolute best to review knives of all budget ranges. And by budget ranges, I mean, $20 or $5 all the way up to $5,000, $10,000, whatever it may be that I am capable of affording. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I rambled a bunch. I do apologize. Yeah, I don't really create a script for these. I just kind of go with it and talk about all that stuff. I'm not pointing out the negatives for these. They're like $15 knives. You're paying for what you get, and I just appreciate the fact that there is something on the market like this that people can go after. So you have a knife, you could take the work, beat the shit out of it. If you break it, you break it. It is what it is. And then it's like, oh, I broke a $15 knife. Oh no, I guess I'll go buy another $15 knife. I mean, there are people out there who legitimately will just go buy a $15 knife, break it, and go buy another one. I mean, would it be better if they just went and bought like a $60 knife or a $100 knife? Sure. But it also depends on how brutal the working environment is. I can give you guys an example. There was a guy who came into my show a couple months ago, and he was looking for a new cold steel knife. And he told me he worked in a fracking yard, and he was incredibly abusive on his knives, like just absurdly abusive. Didn't really tell me what exactly he was doing, but just told me he was very, very abusive on his knives, and then told me that the knife he currently carried was a 8015 Scorpion from Cold Steel. Now, those knives are built pretty tanky, to be honest. If you guys don't know what those look like, just Google AD15 Scorpion from Cold Steel, and you'll get an idea of what they look like. But it's like retail is like $300 on those knives. You can get them online from like Blade HQ for like $180, $190. They're premium. They're up there knives. And I think he said he had it for like 3 months or 4 months, and he destroyed it. So that gives you an idea that there are some people out there who are just incredibly hard on their knives, and even buying high-end knives still doesn't solve the issue. I don't know. Again, I don't know what he was doing, but yeah. I did end up selling him something that I knew would stand up to the abuse he was putting it through. But I sold it for anybody interested. I sold him a Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. And he got it, and then I think like a month or two later he came back to my show, and he was like, I fucking love this knife, putting it through its paces, it's doing great, all that fun jazz. So anyway, yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed my TED talk of a video. Moral of the story, don't bash budget knives. You know, if you want to be a knife snob, go for it. But these knives serve a purpose. They exist on the market for a reason, and that's that. Now, I try and respect everybody's opinion about things, and hey, if you like cheap crap, there's nothing wrong with it, and if you don't like cheap crap, there's nothing wrong with it. But just don't yuck on someone else's yum, you know? So, yeah. All right, guys. That's it. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video to some extent. In the next video, I'm probably going to review either the MTech Lanza, which is a nice gentleman's knife from MTech. Price range, retail is $56. I think they're probably going for like high 40s online. Or it's going to be the MTech Guardian, which is a button lock D2 knife. But yeah, either way. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. Eat good food. And please be kind to each other. Okay? We live in a world with enough hate and other shit going on right now. Alright? Let's try and be a little kinder to everybody. It goes a lot. It goes the distance, I promise you. Anyway, alright. I'll see you guys later. Bye.